on behalf of everyone, I just want to say, I guess what a privilege it is to actually meet you, and thank you very much for kind of taking the time to come here to talk to us today. We were all in Auschwitz I yesterday. I think everyone had different reactions to it. My own reaction was that it was different from what I was expecting. Before coming to Auschwitz and kind of reading books about what happened, it was easy for me to make sense intellectually of what actually happened. When I was there yesterday, I couldn't make sense of it.
Yeah, so how can the human mind conceive a place like Auschwitz? To me, it's difficult to understand, and I wonder, can you imagine all these Nazis getting up every morning and think of one single thing, how many people they can kill? That is very foreign to me and to most normal people.
And do you think that there was something wrong with them before they came to Auschwitz and Auschwitz made it worse? Or do you think there was something in that situation that would corrupt a normal person?
There was something wrong in German society. Economics was so terrible that nobody had food, nobody had hope, and the Nazis gave the Germans hope. There was definitely something wrong with the philosophy, and Hitler was very much part of it in twisting and turning people into people who were suddenly interested in killing more than in saving themselves and saving the world. There was nothing normal about Auschwitz. And coming back, every time when I walk through Birkenau, because my mainstay was in Birkenau, is how on earth could even somebody think of a place like that? How does the human mind conceive? Because I get up every morning, and I'm doing it on purpose now. When I get up, I say, that's good. I'm still alive. Now I want to use my mind to do something good. Because everything we put in our mind bears fruits. And these minds, the Nazi minds, they wanted to do one thing to kill. That to me is very foreign and very strange.
You've been coming here, is this your 24th or 25th time?
24th time.
24th time. And every time you come back, do you get a different type of experience?
I am older and my body works less, so in that way it is different. But in many ways, I remember everything that happened. And on the other hand, I also come back because this is where I can remember my parents the way I saw them the last time.
My work on the Nazi doctors began and ended with Joseph Mengele. It was initiated by legal documents on him and was completed in the summer of 1985, just at the time a team of scientists declared bones discovered in a Brazilian grave to be his. While he is obscured by his demonic mythology, he has in many ways earned it. Rather, my task is to try to understand how his individual psychological traits fed upon the Nazi biomedical vision, and to learn what he has to tell us about corrupted medical science. For that, Mengele seemed to thrive in Auschwitz. Says much not only about the man, but even more about the psychology of the institution.
Miriam was very sick, and I knew one thing, that in order to help her, I had to organize. Organizing camp language means stealing from the Nazis in the kitchen, to steal potatoes. The potatoes were the cure-all in Auschwitz. But of course, we knew if we were caught stealing that we would be hanged. I stood there, I saw the potatoes under the table. I knew what, I was scared, but I knew one thing. If I didn't try, Miriam would die. I grabbed 2 potatoes, and then somebody grabbed me by my head, pulled me up, and yelled into my face, "It's not nice to steal." I expected to be dragged to the gallows and hanged.
And was that the first time that you realized that being a Mengele twin had a kind of protective
Yes.
effect around you?
Yes, we, the Mengele twins, would not get the same destiny as other people as long as Mengele wanted us alive.
Mengele was passionate in conducting his research, particularly his study of twins. Indeed, he probably came to Auschwitz for that purpose. He had apparently worked with twins under his supervisor, Professor Ottmar van Verschuer, at the University of Frankfurt a few years earlier. Mengele's teacher was the man who in the late 1935 had insisted
What is absolutely needed is research on a series of families and twins selected at random, with and without hereditary defects.
one could then achieve,
Complete and reliable determination of heredity in man.
and
The extent of the damage caused by adverse hereditary influences.
as well as
Relations between disease, racial types, and miscegenation.
in Auschwitz, Mengele found a way to live out his intellectual dream derived from his mentor. While he could not always have the family data going back over several generations that Verschuer wished for, he could arrange to his heart's content what his teacher called,
A fixed minimum of examinations. In all cases.
indeed, Mengele could exploit this unique opportunity Auschwitz provided for quick and absolute availability of large numbers of these precious research subjects, especially identical twins.
It would be a sin, a crime, irresponsible towards science, not to utilize the possibilities that Auschwitz had for twin research.
Dr. Martina Puzina, who was sometimes in a position to observe ramp selections from close up, told how Mengele, looking,
Strange.
would plunge into
River.
of arriving Hungarian Jews.
Going quickly, the same speed as the crowd, and shouting only
Zwillinge heraus!
with such a face that I would think he's mad.
So Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, we would be taken to a lab in Auschwitz I, Block 10. And there we will be placed naked for up to 8 hours. And every part of my body was measured compared to my twin sister and compared to Charles. On alternate days, Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday, we would be taken to another lab where they would tie both of my arms to restrict the blood flow, take a lot of blood from my left arm, give me a minimum of 5 injections into my right arm. After one of those injections, I became very ill. Mengele came in next morning with 4 other doctors, and then he declared, laughing sarcastically, he said, "Too bad. She's so young. She has only 2 weeks to live."
Sometimes Mengele killed twins simply to resolve a dispute over diagnosis. Dr. Sigismund Hirsch, a radiologist who did work for Mengele, described to me one such situation. A pair of gypsy twins, 2 splendid boys, 7 or 8, whom we were studying from all aspects, from 16 or 18 different specialties we represented. The boys had certain joint symptoms which, according to belief at the time, could be linked to tuberculosis. Mengele was convinced that the boys were tubercular, but the various prison doctors, after clinical study, found no trace of that disease. Still unconvinced, Mengele shouted at the prisoner doctors, especially Dr. Hirsch, telling him,
All the others could make a mistake, not the radiologist. It must be there.
Mengele then left, ordering Hirsch to remain there, and returned about an hour later, now speaking calmly.
I dissected them. You were right. There was nothing.
I couldn't cope with the fact that they treated me like I was a nobody and nothing.
Yes.
So after the 3rd or 4th or 5th visit to that observation lab, The only way I could cope with it is by blocking it out of my mind, and everything went blank until the day was over.
You were interviewed by one of my childhood heroes, Nikki Sixx,
Nikki's.
from Motley Crue. And you've also been active in stuff like BuzzFeed and things like that. Like, do you find that basically people are becoming more and more interested in this?
I have to take a picture with you and send it to Nikki Sixx. that even in Auschwitz, I found a professor who is admiring Nikki Sixx. Okay, are you taking a picture?